I'm Keats Baggett.
I'm Daniel Hall.
I'm Paul Besley.
Jonathan Moore.
Alex Kenzer. This is our wheelchair. Dog.
It was for the dog, Aggie, who has paralyzed hind legs. And we wanted to make her completely mobile on a bunch of different surfaces and be able to run around normally.
It was meant to, she would go into this harness, and then her legs would actually be tethered or tied to this beam, or no, this piece right here, so that they wouldn't drag along the ground, and she wouldn't hurt herself like she has been doing. Yeah.
One of our main problems was our wheel axle. We had to make our own collet, which is a piece that you have to use to hold in this metal bar right here. And we had to drill a hole into each side and then tap it, which is essentially making the threads like on a screw so that the wheels could spin.
Yeah. One thing that we learned from this project is that if you ever start like this is our first time, so if you ever start something, make sure you have every step down and you have every piece that you need to do something with. Like we didn't have a piece to connect the wheels until we made our own axle, and that was in like the 5th week of doing this.
Yeah, there was so much that we would do different. First off, we would have made our design better in the first place because it's obviously way too small for the dog, and it might work if the dog was quite a bit smaller, or we just get a smaller dog. But it's definitely way too small for Aggie herself. So that was one of the biggest flaws.
Yeah, because Aggie's growing, she's getting bigger.
She is.
Originally, we had planned to use set screws, but we ended up running out of time, so we had to glue our pieces in, which it works, but it's not adaptable.
Okay. So what else did you learn from this project?
Along with all the engineering skills, we learned how to communicate better and work as a team. I mean, if I know what I know now about communicating, working as a team, I think this project just would have gone so much better even without the engineering knowledge that I learned.
We also learned how to work much better as a team, or not as a team, use our time much better.
Time management.
Because at the beginning we would get maybe one thing done each day. We would be totally dependent on each other finishing things before we would start anything. Now we've learned how to work efficiently, separately, and not have to wait on each other.
Well, for your first project, this was a big one. There was a lot of intricacy. There was a lot of stuff you needed to do this one, and you guys created, your own grommets to attach your wheels. And that was one of my biggest questions with the designs when you guys drew them up was, how are you going to attach your wheels? And some people said, well, we're going to glue them on. I go, well, and if you glue them on, how are they going to turn? Right?
Yes, sir.
So,
I mean, yeah, our design in the first place could have been so much better if we had just, I think, thought about it a bit more and gone more in depth. The project would have gone much more smoothly.
This project also got us. We learned how to use one of those infamous tools in the shop, the lathe, which was pretty cool actually.
could do a lot of stuff with the lathe, and I've never had freshmen learn how to use a lathe before.
Yes, sir.
So that's pretty cool. So what would you do different with this particular design then?
Well, first we would have made it bigger.
Bigger? Okay.
Yeah.
I think maybe we would have gone a different route than the plastic blocks.
What would you done different instead of the plastic blocks?
I think we might have used maybe like some kind of joint with a screw that we can lock and then make it extendable.
Or maybe just use the plastic blocks with set screws so that it wasn't just stiff all the time and you could adjust it as Aggie grew.
Okay.
And have our measurements more like, well, not our measurements, but when we drilled our holes in each of the plastic blocks, we drilled them all on the same side. So one of the problems we ran into was on this piece, it has a hole up here at the top and a hole on the side. the hole up here goes all the way through, and the hole here goes only an inch through. Some of them only went an inch down on the top, and so we couldn't use them in other places. And so we'd have to drill all the way through on other ones, which makes the design less sturdy, and it doesn't look as good as it could have been.
Yeah,
could have
definitely
looked.
plan ahead. Also, like, just be ready for anything, because something will happen.
Yep.
Like, we forgot to do the wheels. Like,
It's just a matter of how.
yeah, it's just when it comes, are you ready for it, and will you be able to recuperate fast enough to still have it for the due date?
Because there's always a deadline, right?
Yeah.
You really have to commit your time to a project like this. I think I feel like that was a problem with most of the groups, that we didn't really understand how much time really was required for a project like this. So maybe we didn't put in as much time as we should have.
And we weren't really accounting for the fact that something was going to happen, like the wheels that took us in almost a week to just get the axle ready for the wheels to actually get put on. We only planned that for maybe a day at most.
Now that I think about it, we were probably the one group that could have just glued the wheels.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have turned then.
Yeah, they would have.
They have
How?
ball bearings. So even if
So explain how you would have glued them then.
Epoxy.
So how would that work? What would you glue it to?
Well, we would still.
And think about the strength of epoxy gluing onto there. How strong would that
I
be?
don't think that
Yeah,
works.
I don't think that would have worked.
I'm not gonna say there's any problem with our wheels. That's definitely our best thing.
Yeah, your wheels are terrific. I agree with you. That is the best part of
That's
your
the
design.
one thing we would not change.
Yeah, that's the best part of your design. And what about the way the harness is attached?
Oh,
that
the harness was kind of
Yeah.
last minute.
Yeah, originally we were gonna try to sew it so that it wrapped around like that,
Uh-huh.
and then the dog would have had an easier time getting in and out of it. But we ran out of time.
It's another time management
Yeah,
issue that we
time
could have
just
solved
stapled
if we had planned ahead. So, all for the next project.
Yeah, but I mean, so
Lots of lessons.
lots of lessons. So was this worth doing?
For
sure.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Yeah, you guys got a lot of shop skills now, a lot of engineering skills, and a lot of working in a group skills all in one. So we spent a lot of time on it, but I think it was worth it.
It was.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys. Good job.